Let's start this review by showing you just some basic operations on this snowblower. To start this thing, you just turn the fuel valve on. Now it is kind of a little bit in a weird spot. Then you pull out the choke. Throttle should get advanced, and I did forget that in this step here. And turn the key to the on position. Next, you'll want to pull on the cord very slowly, very lightly here, just till you feel the resistance or the part of the compression stroke. Once you've got it at that point, just give it a nice swift pull and it'll start right up. Now that it's running, just push that choke back in slowly until you hear that the motor finally starts to run smoothly. This is done from a totally cold start. This thing was sitting in the garage. It wasn't warmed up at all, and last time I have used this thing is probably about 2.5–3 weeks ago. If it is cold as well, you want to engage the hydrostatic drive or the hydrostatic mechanism and let that oil heat up for about 30 seconds before you start to use this snowblower. Now, if you do have any trouble starting this thing, I had a ton of trouble actually starting this thing when I first got the snowblower. I'm presuming, I'm like 95% certain I just had crap gas in it. I took the fuel, I ended up using it up, just blowing the driveway and playing around with it. And once I had that finished, I put premium fuel in with fuel stabilizer, and I always find for any of my small engines in the garage, that is the way to go. It'll save you a lot of headaches when working with small motors. With the snowblower running, you can move the chute either left and right, and you can also tilt the blowing path up and down with nice little handy electronic control on the control column. There's a speed control right next to that lets you control how fast you want to go. That only works when the hydrostatic is depressed on the left hand side control. Then next to that you have a throttle. On either side you've got a disengage for your drive. This acts just like a clutch, so you just pull it in the direction you want the snowblower to turn. So if you do want to drive the snowblower, just push the hydrostatic engage and move the lever in the respective direction. Now this feature is new to me. If you push down on the little thumb lever here and move the snowblower either up or down and let go, it'll hold the tilt wherever you have it selected, which is really kind of handy. You can select any height that you want to blow with, and this is especially helpful if you have a gravel driveway and you want to keep it that like an inch off the bottom so it's not picking and chucking rocks. You release it, set it there, and you blow away without having to change any skid plate settings. It does take a little coordination because there is a lot of controls on this thing compared to the snowblower I was using in the past, but it doesn't take a whole lot of time to get used to it. All the controls are really well balanced and well thought out. This thing moves very easy. It is no problem for my wife to use this in comparison to the previous snowblower we had. To engage the auger, just push down on the right hand side handle. Now as long as you have your left hand side hydraulic engaged, this will stay down by itself, freeing up your right hand to do whatever you need to for the chute controls. So one of the features that I already really like is kind of like the scrape control or the tilt control, but it lets you kind of go into a scrape mode. To do that, push down on the thumb on your left thumb and lift up on the handle. Release to lock it in place and let the snowblower go back down. This is really useful if you have like a sleet or anything stuck to your driveway. This will help you scrape it off and blow it away. There's a left-right comparison here on the walkway where I used the scrape and one where I just blew it in the normal configuration. And there's 3 paths here on the driveway that you can kind of see that I did with scrape and without. It should be mentioned the reason why I don't scrape the entire driveway is not all my driveway is new concrete and is quite cobbled up. So I choose to snow blow my driveway in just the normal configuration without that scrape mode kind of enabled. Now, something I learned the hard way with this snowblower is that the shroud is not perfectly up and down, which means you can actually take and go up to like a 4x4 post or any other obstacles you have on your yard, and you'll find out that the shear pins are going to snap on you. The good thing for me is Honda did include a couple of shear pins, so it was an easy fix and easy replacement. The past snowblower I used, the Shroud, let you go right up to an obstacle without letting those tines kind of engage and chew on it. To shut this thing off, I like to first bring the throttle to idle, then I'll turn off the fuel flow, and then finally turn off the key. So is this snowblower worth the $4,000 and change price tag? I think it is. The previous snowblower I had was about $1,000. Granted, that's a whole heck of a lot of years ago. The same comparable model now is probably about $2,000, so it's double the price of your just conventional snowblower. The features that I really like that make it worthwhile for me is the electronic chute controls, the hydrostatic drive, and the track. All of them are vast improvements over the old manual screw type style. And tires versus tracks, there is no comparison. I used to have to push and weasel my other snowblower to get it to drive through tough compacted snow. This thing, no problem. You could operate this thing with one hand all day and not get fatigued at all. There is only one downside. I do find it takes me a little bit longer to clear the driveway with the snowblower. I'm also not comparing apples to apples either. The other one was a 30-inch cut width. This one's 24. That's fine for the size of driveway that I have here, and you can see it in the video. I don't need something that big. I could have bought a bigger one. I elected to just choose this model. This snowblower also does a much better job of pickup and not having stuff flow out the sides. It has a nice clean cut, which means you're not having to do double passes. One pass, one time, and everything gets chucked wherever you've pointed the chute without kind of flowing out the side of it. My other snowblower and a lot of other snowblowers I've seen being used, that seems to be a problem with all of them. If you're looking at getting one of these things for yourself, be prepared. If you want one, order it way in advance. I ordered the, actually not even this exact snowblower. I ordered the electric version of this snowblower in August, and at the end of December, I still had no snowblower. The good thing is the dealer did contact me right away, and they had the same model minus the electric start, which I elected for. And would I go out and get the electric start on the 24? No, don't even bother. This thing starts easier than my Honda lawnmower, the pull-wise. It's well thought out. You don't need the electric start, in my opinion. Even my wife finds this thing relatively easy to start. She does have to give it a good pull, but there's no problem in her starting this thing up.